Hi, this is Rhonda, Green for Governor, and we're going to try this statesmanship presentation again because I wasn't satisfied with what happened on Sunday. So we're just going to go through it piece by piece and see if I can make it clearer what is actually happening and kind of step by step walking you through a project. Fact-based campaigning is and what results we got out of it. Okay, now this particular thing has to do with the illegal boards that we have in Washington County and in Salem, and specifically the zoning boards. Both boards have illegal members on them. The government officials know exactly that they have illegal board members. They're making illegal laws, and they just don't care. And this is something that we've been working on and trying to get solved, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, around the scenes, and it just isn't going to happen. They insist on having these illegal members on these boards, and which actually means that citizens in Washington County and in Salem are being denied due process. So the laws that they create during these meetings or around these meetings or on top of these meetings or however you want to talk about it, they're not legal. The representation is not there. The members do not belong within the jurisdiction of the board that they sit on. Or they're Republican instead of Democrat. Or too many too many Republicans instead of like a nice mix of two or more parties. So, having said that, that's the main problem. Now, I'll go ahead and post a really fine video that Tommy Brown III, who's running for the City of Salem mayor, did on the illegal board that Salem can fix and should fix. But that will be something that I would recommend you go ahead and do, and that way you kind of understand how that works. Anyway, and all of these documents are on the website around this video, so you can actually look at the full-fledged video or full-fledged documents in your own time and read all the little nooks and crannies or whatever you want to do. So we've set it up like a bucket, like the buckets we have set up, and but this will give you a good idea of what kind of responses we got from our representatives. Okay. So here's the letter that we wrote, and we sent it in a variety of ways. Washington County Planning and Zoning Board, and then City of Salem. Legal boards for legal hearings, right? And waiting for your response, and it's Max Green and Tommy Brown, right? Okay. Now, the contact list, okay. So one of the things about our representatives is that they are not consistent in how you can communicate with them, okay? There's not a single, well, you just go on the website or email or phone. There is no way to actually, a consistent way to reach your representative across the board. It's just not right. So anyway, I tried to make some notes here. You can see the website form and email. So we had several different ways we had to contact them, right? Aaron Houchin was an email, was a website form. I think that's something bogus there, but don't worry about it. Oh, that's a response. I can't even look at my own notes. We contacted Erin Houchin through her website, and we got an email response. Gary Byrne was an email, and we got no second response. We'll look at his response here in a little bit. Jim Lucas is a representative in another part of the county, and he had a website form. Okay. Senator Todd Young, this of course is a regular mail address, and that's where we send it, and we have tracking on it so that we could actually produce the tracking on it. and we got a phone response. Senator Mike Braun, no response. Representative Chris May, which is another representative in our county, because we're kind of like divided up. And that was a website form, yeah, just like Jim Lucas. And we got no response from him. Attorney General Todd Rokita, website form, and that's the website form address. We got an email response. Governor Eric Holcomb, email response from a form that we did on a website. The Lieutenant Governor Susan Crouch, and we contacted her chief of staff, and we got a phone response, and that was an email. Representative Carol Engelman, and we got no response, and that was through the mail. And we added Chief Justice Loretta H. Rush, who is actually one of the chief justices in the zoning book. There's a zoning book that's actually put out with all the zoning codes and what you're looking for all in one book. And her name was in it, of the Indiana Supreme Court, and we actually sent her an email, or an email, and we have not gotten a response, which is not, all that, weird. Okay, so we've got this paper up online, and please, look at it all you like. Once again, it's like a bucket, so it's a bucket full of stuff, and you can look at whatever you want to look at. So the first on the list is Erin Houchin. Now, it's very pretty. It's the email, and it's very pretty. She's got her little logo and all of that kind of stuff. And her email, and let me just read some of this to you, because it gets a little bit chunky, right? Thank you for contacting my office. It's an honor. 9th District, home state, and I appreciate you taking the time out. And it basically talks about her, right? I'm just so wonderful. Let me turn around and show you I'm just so qualified. And during my time serving the 47th District in the United States Senate, I was proud to lead the charge to expand broadband and communities into our rural communities, fight against tax increases, support our local police officers, or support our police officers. I also fought for children to have right to great education. So as a member of Congress, I will continue to support the state effort to improve our infrastructure. See, on and on and on. And so where her answer is, balance budgets, ease the tax burden, support our police, first responders, promote parental rights, yada, yada, yada. Please note, the issue you wrote us about is an issue before the state legislature, not the United States Congress. That was the whole answer to the question. That was it. It's not my problem. Okay. In order to be sure that your state officials know your thoughts, be sure to contact your state representative and state senator. And she, here's the handoff. And there's Erin's signature. Thank you for contacting me. I actually know Erin, so I'm like, yeah. Gary Byrne. That's special. We got an email from him, and from his legislative assistant, and he said, our office has received your message, and I will be in contact with Senator Byrne to explain your situation and concerns and see if there is anything our office can do to assist and aid in this process. I am under the assumption that you are wanting to run for a local office position. Is that correct? When I know something, I will be back in contact. Well, of course, Tommy wanted to have his, that he is running for office, and that's fine. But that's not what he was asking, and that's not something to go ahead and slough off on. All right, so Max did go ahead and answer him back. Good morning, Devin Anderson. Thank you for getting back with us so quickly. Just to let you know, yes, Tommy is running for the office of Salem Mayor this year. Yes, legal boards for legal hearings is part of his platform, but I am not running this year. But I have been working for over a year to try and correct these boards' illegal behavior. Looking forward to the senator's perspective on local government officials not upholding state law. So, Devin Anderson did not get back with us. So this is the only thing that we got from them. Okay. The Attorney General's response. Thank you for contacting the Office of the Indiana Attorney General. We appreciate you bringing this matter to our attention. Your allegations that members of Washington County Zoning Board are in violation of Indiana Code should be reported to your prosecutor's office. County prosecutors, otherwise known as district attorneys, are responsible for initiating further investigation into crime behavior or criminal behavior and presenting cases against suspected lawbreaker. The Washington County Prosecutor's Office can be emailed at yada 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 yada. Now, our prosecutor is actually on an illegal JRAC board of her own, and she has been allegedly suppressing a police report where a county police officer has actually had an armed standoff, allegedly an armed standoff with the Salem police. So that report has been suppressed. I think what news I've gotten out of that is they've already had 300 requests that they had to deny because the prosecutor doesn't want that information coming out. That a county officer allegedly had an armed standoff with the Salem police. I'm not real sure that she's real interested in actually upholding the law in this case. So, hey, Todd, this is not fun, and this is not it. But anyway, so there it is. All right, now Holcomb. Oh, that one's just right off the bat. It's not my problem. Libby Hetler. However, the governors appreciate your time to express your views. The governor's office has no direct jurisdiction over this issue. Separately elected officials are not subject to oversight by the governor's office. Now, okay, all right. So if your boss lets you steal everything, or if your boss lets you violate the law, isn't that a lack of leadership? I'm just saying. You know, running for governor. Green for governor. All right. So not my problem. From Holcomb. There we go. Now, the video, or I'm sorry, the phone calls that were made, basically they tried to slough us off onto the prosecutor again and stated that prosecutor really has no interest in this, I'm sure. Or, you know, if she does, she might go ahead and talk to them. That would be appropriate. But I'm not going to go ahead and force my foot in the door, because that's not what really needs to be done. Let's see, the Lieutenant Governor, Todd Young, his assistant called us, and we spoke with him or her for a while, and got nowhere. And the reason they have the phone calls, because they know it's serious enough that they don't want to have any evidence like Governor Holcomb has right here. Yay! So anyway, and so this kind of gives you an idea. If you're trying to get something solved in the community, if you have even blatant disregard, if you have public officials with blatant disregard for the law, there is no reason really, apparently, to write to your representatives, because they're not really willing to represent you. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this to another level. 40 years ago, the government was different, at least concerning Lee Hamilton. Congressman Lee Hamilton was well liked, and he did his job with respect and service. It was so long ago, I don't know if, if he was wonky or not or whatever, but he did help my husband 40 years ago before I met him as a kid. He had an incident with a state police officer. Now, Max is well known right now. It's taken a while, and we're both known. So, and that sounds creepy, but we're known, and there are ways to deal with that, or we know people, or what have you. But as a kid, he had nothing, none of this background, none of this. And so let me read you a little bit of the letter, right? And I request your help and advice concerning a threat made to me by state police officer, whatever. I received a warning ticket for driving left of the center at 5:18 a.m. this September 1st, 1985. The circumstances in which I received this ticket are as follows. He was leaving Salem, Indiana on Highway 60 when he met the officer sitting at the caution light at the intersection. It's down on the bottom of the hill, and he immediately made a turn and was within distance to read my license plate number at a quarter of a mile. I'm just going to read it to you. He followed me a good 2 miles prior to turning on his red lights. He asked me to get out into his car, where he stated, "I pulled you over because I think you're intoxicated." He gave me a breathalyzer test which read only 0.05, which is still way below intoxication level. He then said, 3 hours ago you would have been borderline. He got out his ticket book and started writing while asking me these questions. Have you ever been picked up for DUI? I answered, no, sir. Reckless driving? I answered, no, sir. Have you ever been picked up for theft? I answered, no, sir. You're sure you've never been picked up for theft? Again, I answered, no, sir. I don't know what it is about this theft thing. He's been asked that. Max does not steal at all. He handed me the ticket and said, this is for swinging over the yellow line when you met me. He went on to say, I can't make threats and this is not a threat, but when I stop you again, I'll find some reason, any reason, to write you a ticket and try my best to be able to take you to jail. Now he goes on trying to say, look, I have a great driving record, and and this happens to a lot of people, has happened, is probably happening. There are times when this can certainly happen. But anyway, so he wrote Lee Hamiliton, and this is his letter, and you can actually read it on, you can of course read it online. I just put a copy up there. And here's the response from Lee Hamiliton. Thank you for your recent contact. I can appreciate your interest in this matter, and I would like to be helpful. In an effort to see that your concerns are met, I am contacting the appropriate officials on your behalf. I hope you will understand, however, that as a federal representative, I do not have any direct authority in this state matter. Okay, just like Aaron. Please let me know if you feel there are additional steps I can take to be helpful to you in this or any future matters which involve the federal government. With best regards, I am sincerely yours, Lee Hamiliton. We have this copy 40 years ago, 1985. All right, so he did respond, and he did do something. Okay, and the superintendent, the state superintendent, wrote back Max and actually talked with him. And United States Congressman Lee H. Hamiliton has forwarded your letter concerning alleged action on the part of an Indiana State Trooper Yeah, your letter has been reviewed and members of my staff have been directed to investigate your allegations thoroughly and take appropriate action. The trooper's commanding officer will be contacting you in the near future. And he did. And the issue was resolved. The trooper was made to move to another section of road, and it was okay, right? I even have, I don't think I put the envelope up there, but there's the envelope, okay? So anyway, so these responses, say like from Holcomb, it's not my problem. People aren't getting legal hearings, not my problem. The Attorney General, not my problem. I'll go ahead and get another official to go ahead and contact you, right? Gary's not calling back. Not in the least. And Erin Houchin, this is just a commercial for her. And really, no, I do know her. And I don't appreciate this. So, I'm going to draw it up. It's not your imagination. 40 years ago, our government was a lot different than it is today. These kinds of responses of sloughing it off and ignoring it and putting it under the table and not doing anything about or doing their job. These people took your vote but aren't representing you. And this is kind of what I wanted to point out. And in sharp contrast to what happened 40 years ago when Max was a kid in trouble, not of his doing. And the state rep or the Congressman Lee Hamiliton helped him. And it wasn't necessarily that he was on Max's side, but he wanted to make sure that nothing else happened, that the right thing did happen. And that's true statesmanship. All of these letters from our current representatives are basically them avoiding the electric fence. The reason I call it that is because they would rather, well, we'll just not get into it, holding on to the electric fence. If you're not going to represent your community, you need to get out. Instead, they're holding on to the electric fence and won't let go. And I'm just going to put some current through it and point out some things and discrepancies that we've been seeing. So that may not make any sense, but we refer to that because we have a lot of electric fences here. Anyway, so this is a better job than what I did on Sunday, and I hope it makes sense to you. And okay, this is Rhonda, Green for Governor, Indiana. Thank you for listening.